What's really happening to the FIRE movement? Is the FIRE movement dead? Because if you've looked at housing prices, healthcare costs, or just your monthly expenses lately, it's easy to feel like early retirement quietly slipped out of reach. And everywhere you look right now, people are saying the same thing. FIRE doesn't work anymore. That was only possible 10 years ago. The math just doesn't work now. But here's the problem with most of those conversations. They're loud, but they're shallow. So in this video, I want to slow this down a bit and actually explain what's going on. Because FIRE didn't disappear, it evolved. And if FIRE feels harder than it used to, that doesn't automatically mean that you've failed. It usually means you're still using an old version of the plan. So stick with me, because once you understand what actually changed, this all starts to feel a lot less discouraging. Before we go any further, I want to be very clear about what you're getting from this video. By the end of this conversation, you should feel three things. First, you should clearly understand what the FIRE movement actually is. Not the extreme internet version, not the clickbait version. The real idea behind it. And secondly, you should understand why FIRE feels harder today and why that feeling is very real for a lot of people. And third, you should understand how people are still retiring early in 2025, even with higher costs, more uncertainty, and a very different economic environment. There's no hype and no pressure, just clarity. And once you have clarity, the fear tends to fade. Let's start with the basics, because this matters more than people think. FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. At its core, FIRE is about reaching a point where your assets produce enough income to cover your living expenses. So work becomes optional, and that's it. It's never supposed to mean never working again. It was never supposed to mean extreme deprivation. And it was never supposed to mean rushing to quit your job as fast as possible. The real goal of FIRE has always been about control. Control over your time, control over how much you work, control over where you live, and control over what you say yes to and what you say no to. Early retirement was just one possible outcome of that control. And this is important. The goal hasn't changed, even though the path has. If you take nothing else from this video, remember this. FIRE is about options, not about an age or a number. The modern FIRE movement really started gaining traction in the late 2000s and early 2010s. A lot of it grew out of the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. People watched jobs disappear, retirement plans collapse, and traditional timelines fall apart. And many people realize something very important. Relying entirely on an employer and a distant retirement age didn't feel safe anymore. And around that time, ideas from personal finance research, like the Trinity study and the 4% rule, started to circulate more widely. Blogs and communities began forming around the idea that if you saved aggressively and invested consistently, you didn't actually have to work until 65. The math was surprisingly simple. And if you could save a large percentage of your income, often 40%, 50%, or more, and invest in low-cost index funds, you could reach financial independence much earlier than traditional retirement. And a common guideline emerged, the 25X rule. If you spend $40,000 a year, you aimed for about $1 million invested. If you spent $60,000 a year, you aimed for about $1.5 million. The idea was that withdrawing around 4% per year had a high probability of lasting 30 years or more based on historical market data. And for a lot of people, this worked. But here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Early FIRE success stories didn't happen in a vacuum. They happened in a very specific economic environment. Housing costs, while not cheap, were much lower relative to income in many areas. Healthcare costs were rising, but they felt more predictable and manageable. interest rates were falling for decades, which helped both markets and borrowing. And many early FIRE adopters were in strong earning years during the long market expansions. All of that mattered because FIRE is incredibly sensitive to expenses. So a few $100s per month doesn't just affect your budget today, it affects how much money you need every single year for the rest of your life. That's why FIRE felt easier for some early adopters. The environment cooperated. As long as costs stayed stable and markets behaved reasonably, the math worked beautifully. But that environment didn't last forever. Fast forward to today. Housing costs have risen dramatically in many regions, far faster than wages. And healthcare has become one of the biggest wildcards in early retirement planning. Even when inflation headlines cool, everyday expenses often don't return to previous levels. And when people rerun the old FIRE math using new numbers, something unsettling happens. The FIRE number jumps, the timeline stretches, and confidence quietly fades. That's when people start saying things like FIRE doesn't work anymore, or that was only possible back then, and early retirement is unrealistic now. But here is the key point. This isn't a motivation problem. It's an assumption problem. And this is where a lot of FIRE conversations go wrong, because the advice didn't evolve fast enough. People kept hearing, just cut expenses or just save more, without acknowledging which expenses actually changed. Housing isn't optional, healthcare isn't optional. And many of the biggest cost increases weren't lifestyle choices, they were structural. So instead of updating the strategy, people questioned the entire concept. But FIRE was never about deprivation. It was about reducing friction between your money and your life. And when friction increases, the solution isn't to push harder. It's to redesign the plan. And this is where FIRE quietly evolved. Modern FIRE looks very different from the version that went viral a decade ago. It's less about hitting one magic number and never working again, and much more about building resilience. Today, people practicing FIRE focus more on lower fixed expenses, flexible income, taxable brokerages and bridge accounts, and healthcare planning early, not later. So instead of asking, when can I stop working forever? They ask, how can I make work optional sooner? And that shift changes everything. And this is why FIRE isn't dead. It just grew up. Now let's talk about what retiring early actually looks like today. For many people, it's not a hard stop. It's a transition. They reach a point where their investments cover most of their expenses. Work becomes optional, not mandatory. They may reduce hours, change roles, consult, or work seasonally, not because they've failed, but because optional income reduces the pressure. Even a small amount of flexible income can dramatically lower how much stress your portfolio is under. It can extend how long your money will last. It can smooth out market volatility, and it can make early retirement feel far more comfortable. And this is why modern FIRE often feels calmer, even if it takes longer. Brokerage and bridge accounts play a much bigger role now. They provide income before Social Security. They provide time before Medicare. And they give retirement accounts room to keep growing instead of forcing early withdrawals. And healthcare planning also moves from an afterthought to a core strategy. People plan around income thresholds. They understand how withdrawals affect insurance costs, and then they design cash flow intentionally, not accidentally. And most importantly, modern FIRE plans assume change because markets fluctuate, life happens, health changes. The plan works because it can bend without breaking. One of the biggest misunderstandings about FIRE is thinking it's about a number. It's not. because two people can have the same portfolio. One feels trapped, but the other feels free. The difference is spending, flexibility, and expectations. FIRE works when your lifestyle supports freedom. It struggles when expenses are rigid and assumptions are outdated. And once you understand that, FIRE stops feeling fragile. And that's what keeps people moving forward instead of giving up. So let's answer the big question honestly. Can you still retire early? Yes, but not by copying a 2012 blog post. Early retirement today requires intentional spending, conservative assumptions, flexibility around income, and early healthcare planning. It may look slower, it may look a little different, but it still delivers the same outcome. You'll have more time, more choice, and more control. Now, if this is resonating so far, let us know in the comments. Are you still aiming for early retirement, or are you rethinking what it looks like? If FIRE feels harder today, it doesn't mean that you've failed. It means the plan needs to evolve. And that's exactly what this channel is here to help you with. Real conversations, real numbers, and realistic paths to financial independence and early retirement. So if you want more videos that break this down calmly and honestly, make sure that you're subscribed. Let's slow this down for a moment before we end. If you've been carrying around the feeling that you've missed your chance, I want you to hear this clearly. You didn't miss your chance. The goal didn't disappear. It just requires better planning, more flexibility, and more honesty than it used to. And that's not a bad thing, because a plan that works in the real world is far better than a plan that only works on paper. So I'll leave you with this question. Do you think the FIRE movement is broken, or do you think it just needed to grow up? Thanks for spending this time with us. We'll see you in the next video.